Hello, we are live. All right, so I just did a UAP task force debriefing summary, and I pointed out a couple things on Twitter that I wanted to add, things I am adding to the thing right now. I put another slide in just to show the National Laboratory Management that Battelle controls, just to show the control that the military-industrial complex contractors like Battelle have on kind of a stranglehold on the whole information scheme of this whole thing, and are one of the top places that the UAPTF should be looking for evidence of reverse engineering programs or alien metals or UFO debris or any of that kind of crazier stuff. If it exists out there, it definitely would exist inside Battelle, and this guy Howard Cross was connected to it. We know for a fact he was like head of Battelle and head of a lot of these top secret programs. So these are the places I suggested to people call their congressmen and senators and reach out and try to contact them. And this is mine in Rhode Island here. I've already reached out on numerous platforms. I might go down to his office and film myself dropping off a copy of the UAP task force debriefing documents that I put up in the last video. I'll post a link to them here as well. But I put a whole folder full of all the some cold fusion stuff. Not all the cold fusion stuff. I could probably put tons more stuff in there. But this is a shortened kind of summary intro, get you started, you know. If you want to start researching the real technical stuff, this is the place to come. Again, I say that a lot of the Pentagon stuff that's coming out, this confirmation of that Navy video, which, you know, Mick West easily debunked as showing how, you know, how those two stars turn into triangles as well, and how the light blinking is perfectly consistent with an aircraft, and it just makes the triangle shape using a lens effect on the opening there. But it's kind of pathetic when we go and see like the Pentagon putting this story out to the public that these intelligence people are looking at, you know, videos like half the internet does with this stuff, when that's definitely not the case. Intelligence people are looking into stuff like I was talking about and pointed out in my report, like this UAP the MP UAV, or multi-purpose UAV. This thing, apparently they had this. If you listen to the story of this guy talks about it.
I'm Bob Ruskowski. I'm a conceptual designer for Lockheed Martin Aeronautics Company.
Yeah, so check
My
this
artistic
out.
training has helped me tremendously be able to quickly and efficiently communicate ideas, my design ideas, to other people, to show them the same vision I have, and to be able to get them to understand it. This aircraft is called the Submarine Launched and Recovered Multi-Purpose Unmanned Air Vehicle, or MPUAV. It's also been called the Cormorant, which is a diving seabird. As a result of the START II missile treaty, the Navy was faced with having to either retire or do something else with 4 of their 18 ballistic missile submarines. And the Navy came to us for our concepts for a wide range of unmanned aircraft that could operate from aircraft carriers or surface ships or even submarines. This idea was unique in that it was the first time someone had thought about the idea of launching and recovering the vehicle while the submarine was still submerged. This UAV concept incorporates a turbofan jet engine and uses that engine like any other aircraft, except that during the launch and recovery phases of the operation, the inlet for that engine, the nozzle, have to be closed off because engines typically don't like to be submerged. The submarines that we designed this concept to go aboard were the Ohio-class ballistic missile submarines, which offers a tremendous amount of volume to integrate both the UAV and its servicing systems. When the submarine releases this vehicle, it goes to the surface like a cork. When it reaches the surface, 2 rocket boosters light off and blast this aircraft into the sky. And during that time, the jet engine started, and after the rocket boosters burn out, they're dropped off, and the aircraft flies off and does its mission. The aircraft uses its stealth and mission planning to penetrate hostile airspace. And once it's in there, it can do a variety of missions. It could be collecting intelligence and reconnaissance on weapons of mass destruction sites. It could be supporting special operations forces. But whatever it's doing, it's using its stealth, its its mission planning to avoid detection. When the aircraft comes back, the jet engine has to be shut down, the inlet and nozzle door have to be closed, and the aircraft splashes down and waits for the submarine to come and get it. Then the submarine has to deploy a remotely operated vehicle which takes a cable from the submarine and attaches it to a cable that's dropped from the aircraft. And once those two cables are connected, the ROV can go back to the submarine and the aircraft can be reeled down, pulled down to the submarine like a kite. Our team was very...
So you hear that, right? So they basically, they took out a bunch of these submarines, four of these ballistic submarines that were decommissioned, and they needed projects to do with them. So these guys came up with a project. It's probably one of several projects that people came up with, or different teams came up with. And I'm sure they thought a similar idea as a drone that could launch out of a ballistic submarine, go do its mission, and then come back and return to the water, and then be recovered by the submarine.
It had never been done before, and you know, it also was a great example of horizontal integration across the corporation. We were able to draw upon expertise from
how's everyone doing
all
out there in
kinds
the
of
live
areas,
chat?
you know, including hydrodynamic testing aspects, the ROV operations, and just having them aboard was such a great asset, and I think that it's a unique attribute of Lockheed Martin.
So yeah, that was a cool video. I also wanted to point out that some of the stuff that I had, a couple things, we missed a whole bunch of slides. I wanted to do a whole section on Rand Corporation, really, because Rand Corporation ought to be looked into a lot more thoroughly too. Rand Corporation is very interesting. Where's the page I had on Rand Corporation now? Oh yeah, right here. So I'll post this in the description as well, so you guys can check this out. So since the 1940s, the U.S. government has quietly engaged one of its key defense and intelligence agency contractors as a secret UFO think tank. So Rand Corporation ran all kinds of think tanks. That's kind of what they did. They hosted these big lavish parties for all these, you know, top minds of different things, and came up with different strategies. So if there were, like, remember I was talking about it in my presentation, the idea of this MJ-12 or the secret government group that would have been responsible for a think tank to come up with what would they do in the event of a real, you know, something like the Men in Black. What would they do in the event that aliens crashed here or came and contacted them, and how would they handle the situation, and what would they do? And we already had plans for when the astronauts came back from the moon. They were kept in this quarantine thing, as I pointed out. So we have to think about the people that thought these ideas up, and I believe Rand Corporation was connected to those, and Rand Corporation is connected to a lot of other think tanks as well. And someone would ask me, like, oh, well, what else do you know about Rand Corporation? And well, I know some stuff about Rand Corporation from my investigation of think tanks related to, you know, other conspiracy research and stuff as well, which people can go check out here. I won't talk too much about it because I don't want to get my channel banned and stuff and flagged. The last video we did got flagged for flat Earth, I believe. Watch this. Was there? I just got flagged. It just flickered. We just got flagged. The last video got flagged for that, and I was laughing because we didn't say anything about it. We didn't even mention that word I just said, and it was immediately like flagged for that. And all we were talking about, all it was it was that video of the Bonson Labs, the Braun Gravitic one. So that last one I had posted. So I think it was, yeah, this one. No, it was our short summary where we just having a live chat after that. We were just inviting people on. I think it might have been that one guy that came on and he was rambling and saying all this stuff because he seemed like I couldn't understand what he was saying, but maybe he was saying some FE stuff. Anyways, you guys know what I'm talking about. I don't want to finish the words. But anyways, here's a word that was written on the chalkboard in this last video from between 1950 56 and 59, when NASA, the public space program, was just starting. This was some experimentation with gravitic research. They were trying to determine if there was anything to this Biefeld-Braun effect in terms of a gravitic effect, or if it was all ion wind. And apparently, I don't know, I've gone over some things like this in the past. I've heard about it, but I never actually got the video and got the whole explanation for it until now. And it's just kind of amazing. There's a couple, this guy S. Farrell was really, really great at going through this video with a fine-tooth comb. He must have watched it like 16 times, because we get this was 8 or 16 millimeter film, and again, not the best quality video, but again, look how old it is. It's like 70 years old. It's pretty amazing in and of itself, having something this old in this good condition, and I got it released here. Someone sent it to me, so I posted it on and we should have put some like background or some explanation for it. Maybe I should take this guy's notes and make a narration and repost it, because this is really key stuff here, that they were talking about barium titanate and nonlinear optical materials in these diagrams back in the 50s, during the when this stuff was supposedly not known about till 20 years later. So it's interesting. I wonder, I want to dig more into this, because this is just a small window into some of this, because this is a private video, of course, that was taken by, I think, Bonson's daughter, Agnew Bonson. But anyways, Bill Lear, John Lear's father's in this video, and a bunch of other stuff. This was cool to get that released, and I'd like to thank S. Farrell for showing all these timestamps with going through the video and breaking everything down for us of all the experiments that they were doing and filming on this archival footage of what is indeed a secret space program. This is like was pretty classified stuff for years. I believe. I never saw that barium titanate thing before, but yeah, the Pentacle memorandum, I had brought that up. I wanted to maybe make a slide and talk about this language change thing and break it down a little bit more. I wanted to get like a language expert or a phonology expert or someone in, to kind of really, I've seen a lot of other people break this down already using, some pretty decent research, but I think I keep finding more, reasons for them changing the term UFO from unidentified flying object. You think of an object as a physical object, and you think of a phenomena. Changing that term to unexplained aerial phenomena, it's just like, it's no longer an object, it's a phenomena. It could be interdimensional, it could be anything, and I just think that's I guess it's a little bit more, because some of these technologies, like the blue beam stuff, or what people call blue beam, I'm not sure that's the actual name of a program for it, but that holovect laser projection kind of technology where they can create, visual hallucinations in the air with lasers is probably like, I don't think you could call that a UFO, because it's not like technically a flying object, even though it's kind of an object, a ball of plasma, right? It's still technically an object, right? I guess, but why this change to the MP, this phenomena? And I just thought that was kind of crazy. But I don't know how much I should put in on Rand Corporation, because I have a feeling we start filing FOIAs and start digging into Rand Corporation. We're going to find some interesting stuff. So a FOIA is a Freedom of Information Act request. And I want to start getting into this a little bit more myself, because I think it would be great to file some of my own FOIAs to get more specific information and more specific documentation on certain things. But I don't know, certain things I feel like they're never going to release, or that there's just no paper trail or no record of it anywhere. But I thought that this was a cool study that was done on fractal crystals and fractal lattices. Again, these fractal crystals and fractal lattices come up a lot in, they came up certainly in David Perez's design, and they've come up in other conferences and other things as well, so I think they're interesting and worth checking out. This was just something that was cool. It was a really, really smooth, shiny, giant ball that was probably mistaken for a UFO when they first sent it up and showed it around. It's cool as heck. But I got 5 on the FOIA. Yeah, we should send in some FOIAs for RAND Corporation's think tanks related to extraterrestrial craft and body recovery, and cite those other words and stuff. I don't know. I have a feeling that they changed like the terminology up. You know how like they changed the terminology for all this stuff, and then they're calling it UAP for the whole ASWAP. You know, whatever this, when it came out, they just changed the language around. And I pointed out how Jeremy Corbell, when he came out with this mystery wire thing, right? He called those things pyramid UFOs, and he did not use the word triangle. He would not use the word triangle, and he avoids using the word triangle to describe them at all costs in that video. And I think that's for a reason. And language is important, and these guys understand it who kind of write these scripts to do this type of programming for the masses. And it's a shame that we only get like 100 people watching these live streams, and it doesn't get more. And it's a shame that these live streams only get like, even my report, which is like all my work, it's been up for a couple days, and it's barely broken. It hasn't broken 5,000 yet. Bro, I used to get 5,000 in the first like 2 hours with 100,000 subscribers. Like I used to get 5,000 hits. Like when I drop a video, it used to get that much in like the first few hours. Maybe if I, like, I don't know. I just can't understand how I can break through to the numbers I used to get before, and what's happening in the algorithms to make it so that a channel with over 100,000 subscribers, and I was just on Tim Pool, got 40,000 new people watching me, and why I'm still getting, you know, these kinds of numbers on my views. But anyways, it's interesting how these guys get on these huge audiences to tell everyone that it's aliens. And when I'm talking about technologies and programs and classified this and that, it's nope. Show them the Corbell, talk about element 115, have Bob Lazar on there with his glasses and his pocket protector. And, you know, maybe we'll bring in Neil deGrasse Tyson. How do you like Neil deGrasse Tyson's with his quote about science? Science is true whether you believe in it or not, right? This was his new tag phrase. Yeah, the good thing about science is that it's true whether you or not you believe in it. And I'm just like, dude, I responded to this on Twitter, and I think I've already covered this maybe before, but this is like propaganda. This guy's spreading propaganda using science to, like, you know, it is, because really, in reality, science is a method for finding the truth. It's not the truth itself, right? And we should all want to find the truth, and we should all learn how to use and apply the scientific method towards finding the truth. But we should not just take, like, people who say that they're scientific and run the show and have, you know, or have the most attention and have the podium tell you that it's true because it's science and you just have to believe in it. That's outrageous, and it's an imposter. Oh my God, it drives me nuts. I'm gonna bring this up too if I get on Brian Keaton's show. I reached out to Brian Keaton. He was mentioning he wants to he was pandering with the idea of doing a show on his channel with a UFO guy, and I'm pretty sure he was talking about me because he was a guest on my channel. And so I kind of wrote him an email about what I'd talk about, and I sent him a copy of this UAP task force report too, where I make it pretty analytical and in terms of going after the science as much as possible. And I did make one mistake here, though, in the science that I want to correct, and that's where I said that quantum entanglement and supercavitation were connected, and that's just a hypothesis. It's not an actual like fact or a theory. It's just a hypothesis. It's just some people think that that there might be a connection with entanglement that's causing these effects, and there could be like types of fusion going on in this supercavitation. But again, that's just a theory, and it's not proven. It's just kind of a new area of science and stuff, and I got to kind of be careful, a little more careful when I'm treading around like this, to be more careful in my language. But I wanted to make that correction and point that out. But the rest of the I could probably add a couple more things on science. Again, I might do keep working on this, right? Do another one in a month and deliver it again. That way I keep practicing it, and by the time the Senate Intelligence UAP task force, by the time that they come out with their report, I'll have my own independent report with all of my intelligence and scientific network that I've accumulated through, all the scientists we've had present at altpropulsion.com. That's not getting any mass media attention. It might be. I'm not sure if how much it's getting, but Wired should be all over this. These other magazines and other people should be all over what we've done and are doing with getting more and more experts to come out of the black world and talk about these programs as they become declassified, and setting up a forum for documenting that important history on our journey to space. Because essentially what they're doing in these black programs and spending our trillions of dollars on unaccounted funds for is developing some pretty amazing things behind the scenes that most of the public doesn't know about yet, and we're hoping to bring out. And there's also a lot of frauds and charlatans and woo-woo mixed in that we have to filter out, and it's a fun challenge. So join the fun, and it's a great time for all. And we have a lot of fun with it. And we're going to be meeting on this Saturday, actually. And we're going to take actually a break, I think, this Saturday, and not talk. We're not going to talk so much about the propulsion and stuff. We're going to talk more about just phenomena and observables, the UFO case files. And we're going to have some UFO case experts and file experts on to talk about some stuff with us for as far as history goes, and observables and known observables. So that should be a fun time this Saturday, so definitely tune back in then. And in the meantime, check out these links. I'll post them in the description of this video right now at the end of this, so you guys can check out all this stuff. But this stuff is where you want to start diving in and digging in for the scientific-minded literature, and send this off to, physicists and universities and senators and your congressmen, and get this in their hands so that they don't, the public doesn't think that this is all about, people watching Navy guys, making bokehs or whatever the heck, whatever they're doing with that lens effect to film this, to film these things, and then releasing that video, and the Pentagon putting these videos out You know, who knows what the heck is going on? These Navy guys could be playing games. And you can't just trust the military and the Pentagon these days, unfortunately. There's too much going on with this alien business, trying to get everyone to think this is aliens. And nobody's talking about, this is a Russian technology. I'm going to play this video and for you guys, and we'll see what you think.
Torpedo attack is the worst nightmare of a surface combatant, because while it is necessary to launch a dozen of guided missiles to neutralise a destroyer with air defence capability, only one torpedo is enough to sink it aside. Especially if there is a risk of a torpedo against a high-value unit protected by a task group. The planners will not be able to sleep until the danger is over. Therefore, navies always try to develop new technologies and tactics to avoid torpedo threat. While torpedoes are quite dangerous for the warships, the development of supercavitating torpedo has taken torpedo countermeasures to a different level. After Russia developed VA-111 Squall supercavitating torpedo, Russian scientists stated that it is not possible to defend against it, because the high-speed torpedo will enable submarines to attack enemy subs and surface ships without giving them time to respond. Iran developed a version of Russian torpedo and named it as Hoot, and Germany developed its indigenous supercavitating torpedo named Barracuda. Although it is known that the US tested a prototype, combat-ready versions are not expected to be used soon. What is supercavitation? Supercavitation is the use of cavitation effects to create a bubble of gas or vapour large enough to encompass an object travelling through a liquid, greatly reducing the skin friction drag on the object and enabling high speeds. A supercavitating object is a high-speed submerged object that is designed to initiate a cavitation bubble at its nose. The bubble extends past the aft end of the object and prevents contact between the sides of the object and the liquid. This separation substantially reduces the skin friction drag on the supercavitating object. Applications of supercavitation include torpedoes and propellers only, though in theory the technique could be extended to an entire underwater vessel. Supercavitating torpedo. During the Cold War, the Soviet Union relied heavily on the submarine fleet to neutralise United States superiority in naval forces. For this reason, it has intensified its efforts to develop an irresistible torpedo to pose a threat to the gigantic naval power of the USA, and thereby achieve a balance. As a result of these efforts, the Soviet Union developed the supercavitating torpedo, the Squall, which entered service in 1977. The manner which makes it special was achieved by a specially designed flat nose cone, which deflects water outwards and initiates the supercavitation bubble. Fired from standard 533mm torpedo tubes at a conventional 50 knots, the Squall's solid fuel rocket booster subsequently ignites and accelerates it to supercavitating speed, approximately 200 knots, before a hydrojet sustainer kicks in to propel it on the final part of its way to the target. Technically, developing supercavitating torpedo is pretty difficult. The controls of the torpedo must only touch the gas. At 230 miles per hour, touching the water would shear parts off. Moreover, though it's not easy to defend against supercavitating torpedoes, there are some limitations.
The crew wouldn't
Controlling the
stand a chance.
torpedo is limited. Basic gentle turns would work, but no sharp turns. Thrusting and cavitating at very high speed through water is energy inefficient. The Russian Squall has a range of about 9 miles. Compared to modern conventional torpedoes, this is about 1/3 of the range. With so much effort going into moving fast and control itself, supercavitating torpedoes often carry a smaller warhead. They usually carry a warhead about 2/3 the size of conventional heavyweight torpedoes. Firing off essentially a rocket underway is very noisy. Every ship with any sonar will hear and localise the source. This will let the target to take evasive actions, launch countermeasures. Moreover, launch a submarine will be identified and localised. Moving so fast, the supercavitating torpedo is blind. It must simply travel its initial course, trusting its INS. But since it is so fast, targets generally don't get to move so far in its travel time. The supercavitating torpedo can communicate to the launching platform via a thin wire trailing from the torpedo to the launching submarine. This can allow the submarine to guide the blind torpedo to its target. If the wire would be broken, an uncontrolled torpedo in the water with speed more than 200 knots is a problem. Should the navies be afraid of supercavitating torpedo? First of all, there is not enough proof that they work efficiently. There is no real demonstrable guidance system for these supposed supercavitating torpedoes. To say it simply, though combat ready for about 35 to 40 years, supercavitating torpedoes haven't proved its capability in a real battle scenario environment yet. Though it's very hard to defend against the supercavitating torpedo, it's not impossible. But publicly, the Russians are keeping very quiet about Predator because the project is classified. It is only known that it is being developed by the Electro Pribor Design Bureau, which specialises in aviation technology. We are looking forward to see the new statements and demonstrations of Predator.
Yeah, so the Predator is the Russian one, and that's what they're working on over in Russia. So this is all the new technology that's basically been being developed for the last, like you said, 20 years or so, and they haven't been tested and battle ready yet. None of this said, because we haven't really had like a war between any superpowers that we need to bust out the super weapons yet. But if the war ever came, they're just letting everyone know on the planet that we got some super weapons, and this is what's going to explain. I think this is what's going to come out in this UAPTF. I think it's going to explain a lot of the UFO sightings that are being seen is new technology and new experimental aircraft. And I just want to just bring this out to the public, because it's just be ready for it, because I don't think they're looking at that UFO video that came out. Man, this is like, it's so bad. It's so, this is not intelligence. It's not, you're not getting with what's going on out there and being realistic. I think it's a lot of wishy-washy fantasy. I think it's a lot of, also historically, the Air Force has used aliens and some of these other wilder stuff to cover for the secret programs and the stuff that they're working on, which was the focus of my report, because it just takes a different, you know, and I don't discount the idea for aliens, and I talk about those programs and where they're going to look for them. I opened up this video with that for anyone who just joined. So it's not, it does have to do with UFOs, but I'm just showing the videos that I didn't show in my presentation. This is like the, you know, a lot of the videos that accompany this stuff,
thereby making them incredibly efficient at ploughing an airframe through the sky at incredibly high speeds.
It's that same narrator, man. So this naval post, they're killing it on this stuff. These were all posted pretty recently, people. So again, subscribe to this channel and ring that bell, because these guys are bringing out a lot of the technology. A lot of this technology is getting declassified and getting out there, because people have been seeing stuff in the sky and having sightings of stuff. And you know, I talk about things that can turn invisible, and then technologies for seeing things that are invisible, or using cloaking devices, and figuring out if things are being cloaked, although they're not effective against all types of cloaking devices. There are some other types that could still avoid that type of a radar system. But anyways, this is, as someone pointed out, I mentioned that I didn't mention the mention that it gets complicated, some of the science involved in the invisibility and space-time warping and stuff, because I think once it gets down to a finer and finer frequencies of what you're able to control with these microwaves and these emitters, you're able to realistically get down to the very fabric of the quantum vacuum. And that's like it's as far as you can go with it. And this is, you know, would maybe lead to warp drives and other technologies that can get us off planet. But it's really important that we take the advice of Werner von Braun and Carol Rosin. I'm trying to reach out to Carol Rosin because I have this video. It's still up. It's one of the please keep sharing this video. This is one of my most viewed. It's almost got 1 million views. I want to kick this over to 1 million views. And it's got the New World Order conspiracy theory in this, right? This is just all the raw footage. I don't think I said much. Oh, I might have said some stuff at the end. Yeah, I said some stuff at the end about conspiracy theories and stuff. But again, it's related to some of the stuff. I'll leave the links in the description for you guys to dig more into this, because what I think is that, you know, Carol Rosin, she was Werner von Braun's spokeswoman for a number of years at Fairchild Industries. She worked with Werner von Braun, who's one of the secret space program insiders, and he would have undoubtedly been one of the, you know, experts that Rand Corporation would have reached out to for some of these think tanks. So he was definitely introduced to Rand Corporation think tanks, and I believe that it was Rand Corporation and these think tanks and the ideas that he was exposed to in those think tanks is what he was relaying to Carol Rosin about their plans and what these people are doing. And just watch this video. I'll leave it at that. Oh, let me play it. We'll play it for the end, maybe. Just, I don't know if I want to go into it. Just go and watch this, and I'll leave it link in the description after this, and some stuff for you guys to go check out. All right. Should we play it?
When I was a corporate manager of Fairchild Industries in 1974 through 77, I met the late Dr. Werner von Braun in early 74. At that time, von Braun was dying of cancer, but he assured me that he would live a few more years in order to tell me about the game that was being played, that game being the effort to weaponize space, to control the Earth from space and space itself. Von Braun's purpose in life during the last years of his life, his dying years, was to educate the public and decision makers about why space-based weapons are a dumb, dangerous, destabilizing, too costly, unnecessary, unworkable, undesirable idea. The strategy that Werner von Braun taught me was that first the Russians are going to be considered to be the enemy. In fact, when I met him in 74, they were the enemy, the identified enemy. We were told that they had killer satellites. We were told that they were coming to get us and control us, the dirty commies, that whole story. First, the Russians were the enemy against whom we're going to build space-based weapons. Then terrorists would be identified, and that was soon to follow. We heard a lot about terrorism. Then we were going to identify third world country crazies. We now call them nations of concern. But he said that would be the third enemy against whom we would be needing to build space-based weapons. And the next enemy was asteroids. Now at this point, he kind of chuckled the first time he said it. Asteroids, against asteroids, we're going to build space-based weapons. So it was funny then. And the funniest one of all was against what he called aliens, extraterrestrials. That would be the final card. And over and over and over during the 4 years that I knew him and was giving his speeches for him, he would bring up that last card. And remember, Carol, the last card is the alien card. We're going to have to build space-based weapons against aliens, and all of it, he said, is a lie. He didn't mention a timeline, but he said that it was going to be speeding up faster than anybody could possibly imagine. That the effort to put weapons in space was not only based on a lie, but would accelerate past the point of people even understanding it until it was already up there and too late. In 1977, I was at a meeting in Fairchild Industries in a conference room called the War Room. This is 1977, and they were talking about creating a war in the Gulf region when there was $25 billion in the space-based weapons program that yet had not been identified. It wasn't called the Strategic Defense Initiative, at least, until 1983. This weapons system then had obviously been going on for some time that I didn't know anything about. So I stood up in this meeting in 1977 and it said, I'd like to know why we're talking about space-based weapons against these enemies. I'd like to know more about this. Would somebody tell me what this is about? Nobody answered. They went on with this meeting as though I hadn't said anything.
Dr. Carol Robb.
All right, guys. So that was it. It's pretty heavy stuff. But I believe that who she's talking about, who Werner von Braun was influenced by, was this Rand Corporation. He would have been on these think tanks, and he would have undoubtedly been in these meetings and connected to some of these people who were involved in this. So I think that these plans, and if you read that kind of stuff, I mean, let's go into some of the technologies and what just might be in store for the future. And this is from a company called Dust, and it's a sci-fi short film called Slaughterbots, and you can watch it here. I'll put it in the link in the description.
Customer pilots directed almost 3,000 precision strikes last year. We're super proud of it. It allows you to separate the bad guys from the good. It's a big deal. But we have something much bigger. Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. That skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works. Did you see that? That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. They used to say guns don't kill people. People do. Well, people don't. They get emotional, disobey orders, aim high. Let's watch the weapons make the decisions. Now, trust me, these were all bad guys. Now, that is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now, I said this was big. Why? Because we are thinking big. Watch. A $25 million order now buys this. Enough to kill half a city. The bad half. Nuclear is obsolete. Take out your entire enemy, virtually risk-free. Just characterize him, release the swarm, and rest easy. These are available today. We have a distribution network, taking orders from military, law enforcement, and specialist clients.
The nation is still recovering from yesterday's incident, which officials are describing as some kind of automated attack, which killed 11 U.S. senators at the Capitol building.
They flew in from everywhere, but attacked just one side of the aisle. It was chaos. People were screaming.
You can see high windows, very small, precisely punctured to gain entry to the building.
What did you do for the victim?
I just did what I could for him. Things weren't even interested in me. They're just buzzing.
Government sources admit the intelligence community has no idea who perpetrated the attack, nor whether it was a state, group, or even a single individual.
So if we can't defend ourselves, then we strike back.
We are investing very heavily in classified defense projects.
We make it our deterrent like our nuclear deterrent. We stockpile in the millions, the billions.
At key facilities, the White House, the New York Stock Exchange, Wall Street.
Safe in their homes.
Well, we wish we had boots on the ground in every community in this country, but we don't. So our instructions
Ollie?
and our suggestions are to stay in touch with you.
Ollie, oh, hi. Hi, Ollie, honey. How's Edinburgh today? How are all your studies going, huh?
Good. Great.
Oh, great. Hey, aren't we doing a video call today?
I'm kind of with people, so...
Oh, well, Clifford, put her on.
Oh, no, it's not like that. No, wait.
Oh, well, listen, I see some photos here with somebody, and I can see lots of likes, and what's that all about? Oh, wait a minute, here, and on your...
Mom, she's on this spy stuff in the military?
What is this video right here? Oh. No, I'm not going to click on that.
It's just this, human rights thing about oppression or whatever.
Honey, you're not going into politics, are you? I mean, no protest march.
Safe here, just like you said it would be.
Heavy traffic approaching the A720 this morning due to police...
Police are not saying this morning what prompted the alert.
Claim relaxing firearm legislation would be useless against the so-called Slaughterbots.
Is to stay away from crowds. When indoors, keep windows covered with shutters.
Protect your family. Stay inside.
All right, just showing you guys that as a teaser, but that was from Dust Media, and it's a short film called Slaughterbots. So you can go look up. Very scary stuff for what could be out there in terms of this technology and what could be developed. So again, people want to think that there's aliens out there and that they're going to come down and save our problems with free energy and anti-gravity, and there's really, it's the military-industrial complex that's plotting to kill millions and millions of people, as usual, because these think tanks, again, do some research into these think tanks. I'd like to find out what their agenda is and if they want to kill people, who they want to kill, and why, and where the court system would sit inside of that sort of plan. I don't know. There's so much crazy shit going on in the world right now. And there I just swore, my first swear of the stream. Yeah, these are some good videos and, stuff that people ought to be paying attention to. And anything else that you guys think I should be adding to the technical briefing here, or anything you think I should change around or work on? But the point I want to make is that we have to be scary. The future's scary, and there's a lot of scary technology that's coming out that we're going to have to deal with, because it's either we deal with it or either we deal with it now by educating the public on it and knowing about it, and or we deal with it in the future, like the worst case scenario that was outlined in some of those things. I mean, just imagine if a dictator with a couple $1 billion were to buy something and order something like this. I mean, I could program that with a couple of technicians easily. I could easily do that. It would be no thing to build something like that with those capabilities. So I just something to think about. This is the stuff that we want to build, though, is some anti-gravity engines and platforms and M drives. And what's the deal with this M drive? So there's this huge debate raging, and they're saying it's the inventor of the M drive is saying that it still works. So it's crazy that the amount of publicity this thing's getting, right? But all the mainstream, you don't hear a word in any of these mainstream sources that come up about the APEC conference or what we're doing, at all. It's kind of, it's kind of disappointing. Popular Mechanics should write to these people. We're going to start a campaign. We're going to start reaching out to more people with this information and getting this more in the spotlight, because it's just getting like thrown in with all this pseudoscience nonsense. And it's like, oh no, you're just a conspiracy theorist, No, I'm a realist. I talk about, stuff that people could build and are building, and what's going on in the Defense Department and our country and other countries. And although we don't have any hard evidence of that the Chinese have a massive program to build Slaughterbots yet, you better damn be like, I don't know, we should be coming up with some anti-Slaughterbot technologies, maybe. I don't know. Laser systems. I know they have anti-drone technologies, which is kind of like defeats the idea of this, these Navy ships getting harassed by these drones that they can't shoot down. Like, the Navy doesn't have anti-drone stuff. They got the new drone killer right here 3 years ago.
In the sometimes hostile waters of the Persian Gulf looms the U.S. Navy's first, in fact, the world's first, active laser weapon. The LAWS, an acronym for Laser Weapons System, is not science fiction. It is not experimental. It is deployed on board the USS Ponce amphibious transport ship, ready to be fired at targets today and every day by Captain Christopher Wells and his crew. CNN was granted exclusive access to a live-fire test of the laser.
It's more precise than a bullet. It's not a niche weapon system like some other weapons that we have, throughout the military, where it's only good against air contacts, or it's only good against surface targets, or it's only good against, ground-based targets. In this case, this is a very versatile weapon. It can be used against a variety of targets.
LAWS begins with an advantage no other weapon ever invented comes even close to matching. It moves, by definition, at the speed of light. For comparison, that is 50,000 times the speed of an incoming ICBM.
It's throwing massive amounts of photons at an incoming object. We don't worry about wind, we don't worry about range, we don't worry about anything else.
CNN witnessed that speed and power firsthand. First, the Ponce crew launches the target, an incoming drone aircraft, a weapon in increasing use by Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, and other adversaries. Immediately, the weapons team zeroes in on its target.
We don't have to lead a target. We're doing that engagement at the speed of light, so it really is a point and shoot. We see it, we focus on it, and we can negate that target.
Then, in an instant, the drone's wing lights up, heated to a temperature of thousands of degrees, lethally damaging the aircraft and sending it hurtling down to the sea. All this from a silent and invisible killer.
It operates in an invisible part of the electromagnetic spectrum. You don't see the beam. It doesn't make any sound. It is completely silent, and it's incredibly effective at what it does.
It is remarkably precise, minimizing collateral damage. And all the $40 million system needs to operate is a supply of electricity and a crew of 3. No multi-million-dollar missile, no ammunition at all. The cost per use?
It's about $1 a shot.
Today, the laser is intended primarily to disable or destroy aircraft and small boats.
It's designed with the intent of being able to counter airborne and surface-based threats, and it's been able to prove itself over the last 3 years as being incredibly effective at that.
However, the Navy is already developing more powerful second-generation systems, which would bring more significant targets into its crosshairs. Missiles. Those missions remain classified. However, commander and crew are already very much aware of the potential capabilities.
Could it shoot down a missile?
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Right on. And one thing I'm going to leave for the end, too, is I put a link to this Carson Kemerzel. He is a witness. He was on the USS Princeton, and he gives a witness about them erasing the flight logs for the interaction with that Tic Tac thing, which is interesting. He said that his notes and his log from the night before was erased and just replaced with just normal stuff in the log. But in any case, interesting to watch in terms of the Nimitz encounters and what went on there, which I still think and argue is our own tech being tested against ourselves and being tested against the public to see if the public's even smart enough and aware enough of these technologies to figure out. And that's the angle I would encourage my senators to take in their Senate Select Intelligence Committee investigation, because I don't think they're going to find many answers in the UFO stuff. And if they are looking for if the alien stuff, and if they are looking for aliens and ETs, I already mentioned where I think UFO debris would go and where they should look in that report. All right, well, that about sums things up. So take care, and please call your senators, call your congressmen, call them right now. It's still early. The number's online. You can go check. You can go find it if you look it up. Just call them up, find a way to contact them, and send them some stuff.